Good morning, Copers. Bitchin', fussin', cussin'. What's up? What's up, everybody? Good morning. It is January 13th, Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to watch a debate. We're going to watch the debate that everybody's been talking about. Not really everybody, but some people have been talking about. I don't really have anything else to disclose, so let's just get right into it here. Couple of updates before the debate, though. Of course, we must pay tribute to Scott Adams, who has passed away. He was publicly battling cancer for the past year or so, so this wasn't really a shock, but it is, of course, sad. You know, literally everybody likes Scott Adams, really, at least on the right. You know, there's a lot of people, us more far to the right types. There's a lot of people we don't like, but Scott Adams wasn't one of them. Scott Adams went on the record saying, "Get the fuck away from black people." So he's got my vote, you know. He was an all right guy. He was an all right guy. He called out Israel as well and all of that relationship. So good guy, smart guy, likable guy, charismatic. I didn't watch a lot of his stuff, and I definitely did not always agree with him. And I had some issues with him here and there. But overall, pretty solid guy. Apparently, he accepted Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior in the days leading up to his death, so that's good. Better late than never. It's never too late until it's actually too late. Good old post-millennial loading like a champ. Whatever. There's a tweet from Libby Evans or whatever her name is in there where she talks about him before he died. She's crying though. It's kind of a buzzkill, so we don't need to get into all that. There is this final message posted to his X account. I guess he had somebody, he was prepared for this. I haven't read this yet. Let's take a look at it here live. If you are reading this, things did not go well for me. I have a few things to say before I go. My body failed before my brain. I am of sound mind as I write this, January 1st, 2026. If you wonder about any of my choices for my estate or anything else, please know I am free of any coercion or inappropriate influence of any sort. I wonder what he did with it. What did he do with his will? I don't know. They have kids, don't they? Or he had with Scott Adams' children. Did he have kids? 2 children, Savannah and Justin, the latter of whom died of a fentanyl overdose at age 18. Damn, that's sad. That's brutal. It just goes to show, you read stuff like that and people love to blame the parent. And they got divorced, I think, right? So hold on. Hold on. I don't like to it feels a little bit wrong looking into somebody's mistakes at the day they die, but let's just be clear about what happened here. Okay, Scott Adams divorce year. First divorce. Stop out there. You could be the richest, smartest, charismatic guy and still get divorced twice. So he got divorced in 2014. And okay, Scott Adams' son death year. I'm just doing the math real quick. He died in, this is, okay, whatever. You know what? It doesn't even matter. Long story short is, you as a parent, you can only do so much, man. You can only, they were his stepkids? You're joking. They weren't even his real kids. Where's my phone? Oh, he didn't have any bio. Okay, well, never mind then. What are we even talking about? Grok, did Scott Adams have any biological children?
No, Scott Adams didn't have any biological children. He was stepfather to his first wife, Shelley Miles's 2 kids.
Okay. Bummer. So, wonder what he did with his money. I'm sure that will come out in the coming days. I'm not gonna worry about it now. All right. Next, many of my Christian friends have asked me to find Jesus before I go. I'm not a believer, but I have to admit the risk-reward calculation for doing so. This is, you got to admit, this is funny. A little bit blasphemous as well. Maybe not the best. I'm not recommending, but it is funny to be like, can't really hurt to just accept Jesus before I die. It's kind of funny. He says, I accept Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, and I look forward to spending an eternity with him. The part about me not being a believer should be quickly resolved if I wake up in heaven. I won't need any more convincing than that, and I hope I am still qualified for entry. With your permission, I'd like to explain something about... So people, I don't know, people are like, yeah, he accepted you. It's more of a joke, honestly, but it's kind of funny, at least. And good luck to him. I hope he makes it, God's got a sense of humor. For the first part of my life, I was focused on making myself a worthy husband and parent as a way to find meaning. That worked, but marriages don't always last forever, and mine eventually ended in a highly amicable way. I'm grateful for those years and for the people I came to call my family. Once the marriage unwound, I needed a new focus, a new meaning. So I donated myself to the world, literally speaking the words out loud in my otherwise silent home. From that point on, I looked for ways I could add the most to people's lives one way or another. That marked the start of my evolution from Dilbert cartoonist to an author of what I hoped would be useful books. By then, I believed I had amassed enough life lessons that I could start passing them on. I continued making Dilbert comics, of course. As luck would have it, I'm a good writer. My first book in the useful genre was How to Fail at Almost Everything and Still Win Big. That book turned out to be a huge success, often imitated and influencing a wide variety of people. I still hear every day how much that book changed lives. My plan to be useful was working. I followed up with my book, Win Bigly, that trained an army of citizens how to be more persuasive, which they correctly saw as a minor superpower. I saw that book change lives because I hear it often. Or I know that book, sorry. You'll probably never know the impact the book had on the world, but I know, and it pleases me while giving me a sense of meaning that is impossible to describe. My next book, Loser Think, tried to teach people how to think better, especially if they were displaying their thinking on social media. That one didn't put much of a dent in the universe, but I tried. Finally, my book, Reframe Your Brain, taught readers how to program their own thoughts to make their personal and professional lives better. I was surprised and delighted at how much positive impact that book is. I haven't read any of his books, but that programming your own thoughts, that's something I believe in strongly. And it's something I'm like always actively trying to be aware of and cognizant of. And if I have like thoughts that I know I shouldn't be having, I try to immediately chase them out with thoughts that I should be having. Christ is very helpful in that regard. And that's why I've always wanted to debate Mr. Girl on that ever since our first conversation going back years and years ago on Sex Wars, which ended on him talking about how his next music video coming out was going to be called I Can Fantasize About Whatever I Want, which he did put out that music video and song. And that seems to be kind of like his ethos, you know. I can fantasize, and I always wanted to debate him on that because I, you know, it's not that you can't, you can. There's nothing stopping you, but it's more a question of should you? And the answer is like definitely no. You should. There's definitely things that you shouldn't fantasize about. Anyway, I also started podcasting a live show called Coffee with Scott Adams, dedicated to helping people think about the world and their lives. I think this is the part of his work that certainly me, but probably most people were most familiar with on the internet, because we would see clips here and there on X. I didn't plan it this way, but it ended up helping lots of lonely people find a community that made them feel less lonely. Again, that had great meaning for me. I had an amazing life. I gave it everything I had. If you got any benefits from my work, I'm asking you to pay it forward as best you can. That is the legacy I want. Be useful. Please know I loved you all to the end, Scott Adams. Man, what a dignified and graceful way to face death. Kind of touching. Just a little bit. Quasar Goon says, rest in peace, dude. We disagreed on many topics, which I will not echo here, but in the end, you actually did have a positive impact on my life, so mission accomplished. May all whites get the hell away from black people in your honor. I never did get my coveted follow back from Scott Adams as a intrepid clout goblin. That's the only thing I think about, so that's a shame. Of course, for me personally, I'll always remember Scott Adams as the guy that the guy that I most enjoyed living vicariously through, due to his incredibly attractive sex. I'm a married man, so I can't say that. But we're all thinking it. Hold on. For anybody who doesn't know, okay, I know that's wrong. So I'm sorry. But he was married to her for like several years. How does that... He was like old. So... Rip to a real one. Rip to a real G. Country roads, take me home. Okay, that's sad. Moving on. Yeah, she was 35 years younger. What did you think winning bigly meant? Vibes? Essays? No, winning bigly meant having a wife 35 years younger than you after your first divorce. Hey LP, the mega Chad Jew who repented and exposed the Talmud was Nicholas Donin. He is my spirit. Thank you, King Jewish. Yeah, I forgot to look into that, but I think you're right.
His wife sent $5 you disgusting goyim. Don't touch me today.
So I'm sorry, honey. That's my bad. Nicholas Donin is that? So he's the guy in France who, like, this is like when they were burning. That's definitely not the guy. Nicholas Donin, a Jewish convert to Christianity in Paris. The disputation, which resulted in a decree burning all. So basically, I think like this guy was like a Jewish convert, and the Jews were like trying to lie about the Talmud. I shouldn't talk about it because it's very vague. I got to re-listen to that whole Septuagint thing. I know this is from the first episode of the Septuagint Stone Choir. But basically this one guy was like, no, don't listen to all these lying Jews. And so they said on Stone Choir, he's like one of 3 Jews who's in heaven or something like that. Allison is not Jewish, okay? She's 0.5%. 0.5% Ashkenazi. Moving on. So it's a meme, is what I'm saying. It's over. It's over for my kids. What have I done to my ancestors' bloodline? Anyway, that joke's played out. My kids aren't Jewish, you guys. Australia has, well, they haven't passed, but they have published a draft for a law they're trying to pass, which is the Combating Anti-Semitism, Hate, and Extremism. And this is a reaction to the, what is it, Bondi Beach? So there was a terror attack in Australia where a Muslim extremist, an Islamic terrorist, went to a Jewish beach, which, why is there a Jewish beach in Australia? Putting that aside, he went there and he killed a bunch of people. I'm sure you heard about it. It was kind of a big story. And so they said, we're going to make a combating anti-Semitism bill, but also hate and extremism, which includes Islamophobia. So if you talk bad about Muslims, they're going to put you in jail. And it's like the most draconian thing ever. Okay. So in response to this, the National Socialist Network, along with like every other right-wing group in Australia, have all in the last like 24 hours announced that they are disbanding because their groups are illegal. And if they don't disband, they're going to go to jail for 7 years, give or take. Every single person in the group. By they, I mean every single person associated in any way with the group is going to be put in prison. And the law, I haven't read the bill or anything, but from what I've seen on Twitter, they don't need, what is it? Hold on, let me go back. They don't need to give you a trial, basically. What is it saying here? Criminalizes speech that merely causes fear, even if no harm. So if your speech causes fear,
Randall_flag sent $5 on Rumble. LP, you've been gone for a while, but thanks for the work on the Murdoch All-Star Christmas stream. It's full of great guests, and if you all have 5 hours, the entire thing is worth listening to.
Thank you, Randall. I appreciate that. It was there's some room for improvement there, but I'm glad somebody it's not that I was like considered it a massive failure or anything, but it didn't quite all come together the way I wanted. But that's life. That's, you're trying to do these things, you're trying to do them live, and there's so many factors, and you get what you get. Sometimes it works, sometimes it sucks, and sometimes it's just kind of okay. And that was my impression. Was I have very high expectations for myself, of course. So not everybody would be as down on it as I was, but I was a little bit down on it. But we will try to do better this year.
Slurgy sent $5 on Rumble. Danon, don't listen to these Jews. They are psychotic liars who want to lead the children of God astray in service of Satan. Jews, don't listen to Danon. He's a lying Jew.
Hey, gee, I wonder which side is correct. We call that the Jewish dilemma. Which Jew do I believe? Anyway, so this is for you're still allowed to in Australia privately in the privacy of your own bedroom. You're still allowed to hate race, ethnicities, and religions, but you can't do it in public. And public, of course, includes the internet. Anywhere on the internet. The law states it is irrelevant whether hatred actually occurs or whether anyone truly felt fear. This is my this is every like shit lib anti-hate speech laws. It's the same thing in in Canada, the hate speech law says it doesn't matter whether what you're saying is true. Right? So you can say something that's objectively true, but if it's deemed hateful, you can be charged. And they say here, it doesn't even matter whether or not you are hateful, and it doesn't matter whether or not anybody is fearful. The only thing that matters is if a mind-raped K-slave shitlib thinks that your statement could cause fear, and if a mind-raped K-slave shitlib thinks that, you're going to jail. You are guilty of displaying a prohibited symbol unless you can prove a religious, academic, or journalistic exemption. Right. So basically, if you publish a swastika, it has to be like in an academic paper or something like that. The AP minister can declare prohibited. This is the one I was looking for. Can declare prohibited groups without procedural fairness, right? Including relying on retroactive conduct. So this is really the really big one here. They can say, okay, somebody in that group threw a Roman 9 years ago, so I am unilaterally declaring it a prohibited group, and we're putting everyone in jail for 7 years. This is why they've all disbanded. This is why all the groups have to disband before the law takes effect, because they can say, you already did a hate speech. I just declare your group. There's no trial or anything. I just say you're a hate group, and now you all go to jail. It's incredibly draconian. It's the kind of thing that, like, you know, the kind of propaganda we can make about this once we win, and when we're teaching children about what happened during the Dark Ages, we're going to make movies about this shit that's going to put Schindler's List to shame. Hopefully. So, you get the idea. Up to 7 years in prison. So all of these groups, including the National Socialist Network, the NSN, which just recently, this is worth noting, became a political party, a registered political party. They went through the process. They had to get, well, what was it, like 1,500 signatures? They got easily double that in a short amount of time. And they registered, and they became an actual political party, which means that they were going to start running in elections. And now they have had to just shut the whole thing down so they don't all get put in jail. So that's how liberal democracy is going, in case anybody was wondering. Joel Davis, of course, let us not forget, has been in jail for, like, I don't know, 6-8 weeks. I don't know how long it's been. He's been in jail for a long time without a trial, because of a Telegram post where he said to his follower, some woman politician put out a tweet. I forget even what she said. And Joel Davis, he posted the tweet and he said, go rhetorically rape her, right? The phrase rhetorically rape is it's like saying, go own this person, go destroy this person with facts and law, go destroy this person with your ideas and words. Like, rhetorically literally means with words. And there's no other way to interpret the meaning of the word rhetorically than go and use your words to embarrass this person. But because he said rhetorically rape,
Soul Divider sent $3. Gotta give credit to BAP for never taking the Groypers seriously, because they would eventually zug out. Masterful subversive move his part.
Wow, that's bait. I'm not taking that bait. Looks, I know you like to try to ask the hard questions sometimes, Soul Divider, and I believe there is a place for that in the Discord, but I will not engage with outright bait. Anyway, yeah, Joel Davis he's in jail for a Telegram post, which they said was like a terroristic threat, right? Even though everybody knows what the word rhetorically means. Everybody knows. It's not open to interpretation at all. So that's, they're not playing, to put it lightly. These mind-raped shitlibs are not playing in Australia. A couple little ICE videos before we get to the debate. War Monitor. ICE agents detained a U.S. citizen legal observer. This is the talking point that went out. We're legal observers, right? You're an agitating communist who's there to cause problems. You're an obstructor, okay? You're not an observer. You're not there to observe. You're there to obstruct. You're not fooling anybody. We all know you're there to obstruct because you talk about it openly. You coordinate your obstruction and you brag about it openly on social media. So who the fuck do you think you're kidding? You can't just call yourself, well, as long as I call myself a legal observer, you can't do, it's like they think it's like saying I have diplomatic immunity or something, you know? Like you can't, if I call myself an observer, you can't do anything. Anyway. Legal observer in Minneapolis smashing his car window, dragging him out, and placing a knee on his neck. Conduct banned under Minnesota law after George Floyd. Well, guess what? It's almost like the feds are not subject to your state laws, pal. I actually don't know. That's not legal advice. I don't really know how that works, but I don't, if the state passes a law for police conduct, I don't know how that applies to ICE, and I would assume probably it doesn't, but I don't know. He's not resisting. Okay, well, it kind of looks like he is resisting from where I'm sitting. I don't know, man. He's screaming, "Get off me, fucking assholes." That sounds like resistance. That's a verbal acknowledgement of what I can only assume is also being physically exhibited. He does really have his knee on his neck and the guy's face right in the ice. What did you think ice meant? Essays, vibes? Ryan Godursky says federal agents don't have to work under state laws, and this person is a legal observer. See, they think you're actually so stupid that you're going to believe this person was standing on the sidelines and 3 ICE agents decided for no reason at all, for no reason at all, they said, "I don't like the look on that guy's face." And then they smashed his, I'm sorry, but my default assumption is that guy did something he shouldn't do. And if you want me to believe that that's wrong, you're going to have to show me a much more wider context window than just the part where he gets arrested. I'm going to need to see what led up to the arrest if you want me to actually sign off on the idea that guy was just minding his own business, legally observering, when they decided to go full Gestapo on him for no reason whatsoever. And also, I will note that this tweet is not community noted, so it must be totally legal for ICE to do anything they want all the time. Don't bitch when the GOP loses Minnesota. There was like Woe had a tweet about how like Minnesota was the only blue state during like the Reagan election or something like that. Let me double check that. What was it? What did he say? He said there were signs. He had like a viral tweet. There were signs. 1984 actual Minnesota actual. So this isn't like if only so on. This is the actual voting. And DC. DC and Minnesota, the only blue states in 1984. Was that Reagan? So Yeah. I'm not saying it. I don't know. I don't know that much about Minnesota. Maybe it is possible for the GOP to win, but it just I don't know. I would be surprised. Put it that way. I can't stop watching the video of the Chud beating up 7 commies at the. Okay, so I have not seen it. I saw this tweet and then I went to the replies. I was like, "What video is he talking about? Where is it?" And then somebody posted this, so I'm going to assume this is the correct video. And hey man, I like to see Chuds beating up commies. Let's see what's going on here. So the guy in the red jacket is the Chud, I assume. Or no, wait, the guy with the American flag must be the Chud. Dude. I take my hearing like way more seriously than the average person. And when I see that, when people do that thing where they're like putting bullhorns or like, if like when people do those air horn things, you know, the really loud thing. Yeah, they put it up to your. Again, if I saw a video where somebody does that to somebody, even a bullhorn, anything, and if the other guy pulled out a gun and shot the guy, I would, to me, 100% morally justified self-defense. Not legal advice, but that's because people don't understand hearing damage is permanent and irreversible and much easier to cause than people realize. If you do one of those you are 100% permanently damaging that person's hearing for the rest of their life. And it never comes back. All you can do is get like a hearing aid eventually. So that is a person who should get shot in the face at point blank range before they cause more permanent damage. It's actually like worse than punching somebody or like a lot of other things you could do. It's worse because it's permanent damage. And people just don't even realize how serious it is. You're not doing some like annoying little prank. You should get killed if you do that shit. I'm not joking. Not legal advice, I'm just saying. Yeah, good. You see, he punches him right in the stomach there. Absolutely justified self-defense. Why is the video gonna end?
Hey guys!
Why does it end there? Who is the fucking who is the Steven Spielberg motherfucker recording that video who was like, okay, I got it. Cut. It was just getting good, man. It was literally just getting good. Oh god, when he like knocks that one guy out with like a single punch and then he knocks the other guy down. The way he drops. Dude.
The Nutter sent $3. I feel the same way about unaliving those who kick people in the nuts, which can be irreversible and cause no nut busting for the rest of your life.
I don't know if that's biologically correct, but thank you, the Nutter. I can see why the guy watched the video over and over. This is so funny when he drops him right here. This is amazing.
Hey guys!
And then it looks like he's just about to go to work on. It's like a WWE thing. The way he's like winding up those punches, like it's almost like theatrical. Why does the video end there? That's the worst. I feel so blue-balled by that. One more time.
Hey,
look at him. He's just like it's like in the WWE when they got them on the ropes and they're like winding up so hard. Oh my god, I'm crying. That was beautiful. Where's the rest? Is there another? Oh my god. Best thing I've seen in a while. Oh, okay. You just watch it on repeat. Glass straw. Is that Andy Worski? What happened there? Anyway, okay. Moving on. A little update on Elon's chances in family court. If you missed yesterday's show, Elon said he's going to pursue full custody of his son with Ashley St. Clair now that she's adopted
Soul
a...
Divider sent $3 one more zinger. When is the David Riley going to promote Bronze Age mindset? Gotta trust the plan.
I don't even know how you would get that. David Riley is like a massive Nick Fuentes fan. So I assume he is not a BAP fan, so I don't even know what that means.
Wandering Neanderthal sent $5 reminds me of the good old days with the Battle of Berkeley clips. 2016 truly is eternal.
I know, right? You know, I realized the reason I have to keep blowing my nose here is dust allergies and stuff. It's allergies. So I've been kind of getting on Allison to try to dust more, and she's doing it. So hopefully we get this resolved. Hopefully I don't have to blow my nose every show for the rest of my life. Yeah, man, the battle. There's that one clip of that guy. It's like the famous like Proud Boy clip where he like, I don't know. I always think of it being set to "I Am a Real American," the Hulk Hogan, because I think I did that. I was like, somebody did that. I'm like, wait a minute, that was me. I synced that up and played it and posted it like on my big Facebook page back in the day. Yeah, same thing. He just like drops he just like one shots one of those commies, and it's beautiful. Okay, anyway. I wish Elon the best in fighting for full custody of his child, but Ashley St. Clair lives in Manhattan. 51 out of 68 family court judges in New York City are angry liberal women. The supervising judge is named Karen Lupoloff, a rabid LGBTQ plus activist. She decorates her courtroom from top to bottom with gay and trans pride flags. So this is her courtroom. So, bro, this is what I was saying. I said this yesterday. I said, you know, the chances that the judge is going to be pro-trans and anti-white is much greater than 50%. And here you have the numbers. According to this guy, it's 51 out of 68 in Manhattan. So Elon's really going to have to pull some strings if he wants to have any chance with that. It's like, you know, it's one of like Elon is like, oh, she might want to trans the kid. That's like totally unacceptable. So now I have to pursue full custody of my son. To a sane person, that is 100% reasonable. Like to a sane person, that you might try to trans your kid is that's like a obvious risk to the child. But we don't live we're not surrounded by sane people. We're surrounded by totally insane, mind-raped people. And moving on to the debate. Okay, so I saw this clip. This is like a little preview of what we're going to watch today, posted by Grace Thorpe, who I'm vaguely aware of this person being some kind of like lol cow or her whole family, or I don't know. I don't really know. But she's a content creator, I guess. Pearl is desperately trying to splice this debate into favorable 3-minute clips on her YouTube. This is what really happened. Pearl, despite prepping for 3 days, simply cannot think on her feet in a live debate situation. All right, let's watch the clip here.
Are you just making things up? Pearl, what are you doing? Like, seriously. Next question. How many women die every year during childbirth?
Not many.
This country has the highest maternal mortality rate of any developed country. So a lot of women do die as a result of pregnancy and childbirth, yes.
Pearl isn't saying anything. What?
You got this, Pearl.
Are you just...
Dude, it's like she went into shock or something. Like she's so defeated. I saw this and I kind of thought, I was like, okay, maybe like one of the judges on the panel, because they have a panel of judges for this World War debate thing, which is like a new thing. One of the judges was Gavin McGinnis. And I thought maybe Pearl's strategy was to just be like, women shouldn't talk, and I'll prove it by not talking. And maybe that would appeal to somebody like Gavin. But the thing is and I you know, this is so far all I've seen, but she does talk at one point. She says like not many, and she sounds really defeated and like she'd rather be just about anywhere else than where she is. So this is like a brutal 1 minute clip. But let's watch the whole debate and see what actually happens. Of course, you know, she could have when Anna Kasparian says we have the highest rate, my initial obvious reaction is like, but what is the rate? You know, what is it? Because it could be the highest rate in the developed world, but if it's 0.0001%, it's still not that bad. So what? But Pearl is just like she's just like not even there. Is that she's been trying to lose weight, and then she was like, what is that called? Anaphylactic shock or whatever, low blood sugar. So here's the hype card for the debate.
She gives terrible advice. She seems to have a terrible view of men, essentially chalking them up to nothing more than sex-obsessed individuals who don't care about any of the substance that any woman has and just want them to make a sandwich.
I would love to live in a world where I could be a stay-at-home, you know, housewife, but it's just not realistic. You know, we got to pay our bills and we both have to work. But I really do think...
That's like the biggest cope. We have to pay for your expensive habits. Like, that's really what it comes down to. What have we really accomplished? We don't do the majority of hard jobs in society. 1 out of 3 of us has had an abortion. 1 out of 4 of us has an STD. 90% of us have been on birth control. You know, the birth rate is falling because of women's choices.
With changing gender roles and with women being able to provide for themselves and not needing a man to provide for them, it's been a little bit disorienting for some guys because they don't know what their role in society is.
If you're a traditional woman, you don't think it's your place to tell men what to do.
Live from ACX1 Studios in Atlantic City, this isn't just another talk show.
Right. So look, listening to that, I'm like on Pearl's side. Just based on those statements, I'm like, yo, I'm with Pearl. I agree with what she's saying. Meanwhile, Anna's talking about how she has to work to pay the bill. She doesn't even have kids. I have 3 kids and my wife doesn't. So that's falling flat to me. Whereas I hear Pearl talking, I'm like, yeah, I agree with all this. But, you know, a lot of people don't realize how difficult debate is because they've never really done it. And you think, oh, that looks easy. You just have to know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Debating is actually hard. It's actually hard. Pearl revealed on stream. This is after the debate. She revealed on stream that I want to like look at the post stuff and then we'll watch the debate after just to see how accurate people's analyses are. She revealed that she was considered physically assaulting Anna during their debate, but held back due to fear of catching a charge.
I thought about it. I'm like, you can talk like this to men. But I'm bigger than you. I could body you. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. Yeah. I know, but I have this fear in me of the police. I never want to like get in trouble in that way. But you know, I'm getting older, and have you noticed the older you get, I'm like, do you know what? I could catch a charge.
Okay, well, I mean, that was a very fair caption to describe what happened in that clip. Maybe the follow-up debate should be mud wrestling. Maybe Anna and Pearl should have a round 2 where it's mud wrestling. I do think Pearl would have the edge in a physical conflict. So now this is Pearl responding to this tweet. She says, I want to clarify what was actually said. This is just a snippet out of context. I was talking about a moment of pressure, not a threat, and not any intent to hurt someone. What actually happened on that stage was constant talking over, raised voices, and personal insults once the arguments ran out. Debates are supposed to test ideas and move closer to the truth. In reality, if you've watched enough of them, the winner is often just the person who shouts more, interrupts more, and insults more, not the one grounded in reality. So that's Pearl, I guess, is the one grounded in reality. Now, I looked at the comments on this video, and it's pretty brutal to Pearl. Anyone who thinks Pearl won this debate or even thinks she did well is absolutely brain dead. The entire time I thought Pearl was a grifter. Turns out she's just an idiot. Just listening to Pearl read at a 3rd grade level was tough. You get the idea. Pearl not so tough without her mute button. Pearl seemed paralyzed up there. Not sure she was prepared for a big debate stage. She got obliterated. Pearl is embarrassing. Holy moly. Pearl experienced shock. She got mollywopped by Anna. She needs to grab a book. Okay. Holy shit, Pearl is slow. If she doesn't read off notes, she's lost. That Gavin McGinnis dude said Pearl won the argument because she has a kid. She definitely doesn't have a kid. Yeah, neither of them have kids. Women with kids don't have time for this shit. Anyway, let's watch the debate.
I finally got pyro. It finally happened. All right, we're going to introduce our debaters, and to do that, let's go to Crystal.
Oh, I should put my earpiece in so we know when to go, huh?
It's a highly professional setup, as you can tell.
Okay, we had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but while we're getting to Crystal,
$6 and
I mean, these guys
$5
already
girl has
explained
a
what the
loss for
debate's
words
about.
and
How many of you know what it's about today?
just like the beliefs she houses
Feminism,
inside
modern
of her.
feminism,
I
perhaps.
can't stand that
Did a
much
quick
art.
interview with Anna and with
Oh,
Pearl
brutal.
in advance of this. And there was a comment that
Brutal,
Pearl
but
made
is
that
it
we should
wrong?
mention
Is he
in a
wrong?
minute. She said, I believe I'm probably more of a feminist.
Yeah, let's
I
up
guess we'll
the
find out what
speed a
that
bit.
means, right? Define that. Waiting to see. So hopefully we can get their interviews here coming up with Crystal, and then they'll head out here onto the stage.
Dude,
How close
this is
are you
like an
guys?
8-hour live stream. It's not the best way to do this. It's annoying because it makes it really
Good
hard
job.
to like scrub ahead. What's the? Isn't there like a 10-second?
Can I go back to you guys
button?
up there at the top?
Nate, what are we doing?
Why don't we do
Oh
this? Why
my
don't you put me and Sam in the same thing so we can talk to each other? I want to talk to Sam. What's that slutty novel you were
What's
talking
the
about?
keyboard? What's the keyboard trick?
The Minotaur milking.
You knew it.
I didn't know.
Sam?
I didn't know.
Who
But
brought it up?
You brought it up.
I don't know. There's something about women milking.
I'm pushing the
cryptids out
arrows,
there,
it's
and
not doing
all the ladies
anything.
are reading it. I haven't read it. I'm waiting for the movie to come out.
Oh, well, there you go.
You know,
Waiting for the movie version.
there will be a movie version, and it will star all trans black lesbians.
Nobody knows. I'm
Maybe it was
pushing
just
right
thinking, so you
arrow.
put Sam on with me.
Is it not focused? Let me click on
Sam,
this.
I would think you.
I will bring it.
Oh, it is right
I don't know
arrow.
how to-
Oh my god. Okay.
While we're waiting for, you've waited long.
Very happy.
So I was asking your side.
Thing. I know it's going to.
Okay, I love this. Just do the whole debate this way.
One person, not one person. How are you going to do it?
I'm going to let the facts.
Pearl is really, really.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this debate, our main card, has a little bit of a different format than what we did previously. We're going to have the opening statements for both of you. Those will be 5 minutes apiece. Then you'll each get 10 minutes to kind of do an interrogatory of the other. That will go back and forth. And then after that, we'll go into open debate. As you saw with some of the other debates earlier, we try to let the other person answer. I'll try to jump in as I can, but for the most part.
Pearl eviscerated that Kasparian goof lady. Wow, okay. Well, I haven't watched yet, so maybe. I'm just going off what people were saying.
I want you all to mix it up, all right? Have fun with it.
Sounds good.
And who is first?
I'm first.
I thought so. Anna, take it away. We got 5 minutes.
In a May 2024 appearance on Tim Pool's Culture War podcast, my opponent, Pearl Davis, declared that women aren't really doing much. We're not having kids. We're not really contributing to the economy when you look at output. In fact, she uses this ridiculous assertion to argue that women should not have the right to vote. While it's true the birth rate has declined, and we'll revisit that in a bit, women account for 47% of the American workforce. The Council of Economic Advisors found that women have contributed a substantial portion of the U.S. economic growth since 1970, which wouldn't have been made possible without the feminist movement. By 2017, women were responsible for nearly 40% of total gross domestic product, amounting to a whopping $7.6 trillion. Of course, that figure doesn't include the trillions of dollars in unpaid labor women do every year, tending to the household, raising children, and caring for ailing parents. And when it comes to certain sectors of our economy, women are a dominant and indispensable force. Like in the healthcare industry, where they make up nearly 80% of workers, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's 16.4 million women. When it comes to education, in 1960, women earned less than 35% of all bachelor's degrees. Today, they earn roughly 58% of all bachelor's degrees, which Pearl herself benefited from after graduating from Elmhurst University. Women also earn over 60% of master's degrees. I hope to hear Pearl explain how a more educated and skilled population somehow translates to cultural decline, especially as we compete with China in this increasingly multipolar world. The modern feminist movement also had a major impact on decreasing domestic violence, and that's according to the U.S. Department of Justice. Rates of intimate partner violence decreased by more than 60% from 1994 to 2010. And that's thanks to protective order statutes and funding for shelters beginning in the 1970s and 80s. Not only did the two-income household become more financially resilient, especially during economic downturns, women gained the ability to leave abusive relationships, an outcome correlated with improved child health and educational attainment. A culture that protects people from violence is not one that's indicative of cultural decline. Pearl herself has benefited greatly from the feminist movement, thanks to Title IX in 1972, signed by Nixon, of course. Sex-based discrimination in any school program or activity that receives federal funding is prohibited. Pearl herself had a rather impressive record playing for Elmhurst University's volleyball team, having earned all conference honors as a senior. She later pursued professional volleyball in London. She could have stayed in the United States and served in her role as a traditional woman, but she didn't. And she could have been the traditional chaste woman living out her dream of everything women were supposed to do before feminism.
This is actually like a killer. Like, she's killing Pearl right now. Like, you can roll your eyes when you hear terms like unpaid labor or emotional labor or whatever. I get you cringe when you hear buzzwords like that, but she is making an absolutely astute point, which is that Pearl's life has been molded by feminism.
Blurdy sent $5 on Rumble. You're not competing with China, you deluded Foyd. You're competing with the men you want to support you, give you a house and enough money to self-replicate. How is the average woman this dumb?
Thank you. Yes. So the problem is, thank you for the $5. I'm not gonna. Thank you. Thank you for that. I get it. I get what you're saying. Pearl's life, like, she wouldn't have gone to college if it wasn't for feminism. And Pearl's not married. You know, like none of Pearl's life looks anything like a woman's pre-feminist life. So how do you, like, that's like a really difficult attack to deal with.
But she is neither traditional nor chaste by her own admission. While feminists would have no problem with her personal choices, she has made a career bashing women for theirs. Critics often argue that modern feminism has weakened families and resulted in a lower birth rate.
Pearl's not a virgin. we don't even have to go into the race stuff because that's less relevant to what they're talking. But you know what I mean? It's like she's right. So like you benefited from the sexual revolution, and or you at least you lived your life according to that, let's say. And it's one thing if you say like, oh wow, I was like misled and I was taught all these lies and I was brainwashed and confused, and so I did. But to actually like bite the bullet on that, you need to get married, leave the internet. And she's done neither of those things.
They tend to dismiss empirical evidence demonstrating the insidious impact of the internet, social media on modern relationships. They also brush economic instability under the rug, despite young people citing their personal finances as the main reason why they're holding off on marriage in the first place. In lieu of discussing those factors, Pearl spends much of her time discouraging men from getting married in the first place. During her debate with Trent Horn, she declared that men are better off shacking up without ever getting married. Her reasoning? Women are too fat and STD infected.
25%, that's a lot.
You did say that. She didn't stop to think about how they contracted the STDs in the first place. Data from the National Library of Medicine show that modern men are just as promiscuous as modern women. Men and women are in bad shape, and in the United States, we can discuss why, but feminism is not the reason.
Very good, thank you. Nice job. Okay, Pearl,
pretty good.
5 minutes, you're gonna be on the clock, and let's go.
Most debaters.
Very personal, but it was effective. I'm not a fan of making debates personal, but if your opening statement is just like, look at my opponent as a 100% hypocrite, it's hard to like say, well, you shouldn't have done that, because it's like, yeah, you're right. She's a massive hypocrite.
And commentators are elitists who tell average Americans from their ivory towers what to think and how to feel. My answer to this question not only comes from covering current events and researching the facts, data, and statistics, but also in my professional experience interviewing over 1,000 people in America and Western nations. Feminism has given women power, and power corrupts. And that's what's happening. Feminism is robbing men of their disposable income and their prime earning years. Feminism has empowered women. It has empowered women to be sexually promiscuous. Feminists say that they fought for women to not subject themselves to the approval of men. Why then are 5 to 10% of women between the ages of 18 to 25 on OnlyFans or other prostitution websites? There are more online prostitutes in America than female Walmart employees.
Brissett sent $5. Don't forget, they also have to deal with those fake diseases only women get, like chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia.
3 women will catch an STD.
I know about chronic fatigue and how that's like a highly contested thing. I don't know about fibromyalgia. I don't know anything about that.
Point in their lifetime, 90% will catch HPV, which is incurable. Feminism has empowered women to abort 1/8 of the world population and 1/3 of Gen Z. Feminists have been so empowered to commit paternity fraud. Paternity fraud is unpunished in any state in the USA or any country in the West. If done correctly, a man will have to pay for a child he was fooled into believing was his until that child reaches maturity. In some states, that man will also have to pay for that kid's college. That is slavery and is forbidden under the 13th Amendment. 1/3 of paternity tests are negative by the American Association of Blood Banks. Feminism has empowered women to rob men of their time, their resources, their reputation, their children, and in the most extreme cases, their lives. They do this through child support, alimony, false allegations, and paternity fraud. How many people in this arena have a brother, a father, an uncle, or a friend who has gone through this meat grinder? Anna has been on the air for 15 years and is completely oblivious to these issues. It's a silent genocide of the lives of millions of men. Standing on the sidelines of the arena, I have 33-year combat veteran Terrence Popp. He served through 3 wars and was almost killed in 2. He got married, had 2 children, and served in the United States Army. Terrence Popp was deployed to Iraq in 2004, and as a member of the airborne infantry, he was wounded by a roadside bomb and suffered a TBI and a stroke from the blast. He was evacuated out of the country, and it took over 2 years until he had recovered. While he was recovering, his wife was plotting to divorce him. His wife murdered his 6-year-old chocolate lab.
That's a huge bitch.
yeah, I don't think Anna would do well in a physical confrontation.
Spite because he filed for.
Also, I was joking how Sam Hyde should breed Pearl, and they could have monster giant kids.
Divorce first. When
or
he confronted
any big giant dude.
her, the response he got was, "I told you, I did not."
Preferably white, Pearl. If you're Pearl, if you're listening, preferably a white guy, if it's okay with you.
Not want you living here. At this point, he was forced to leave the marital home and live out of his car. The divorce took away his home, his children, and left him penniless and saddled with a child support payment he could not afford. Terrence had to pay $144,000 over a 12-year period for a divorce that his wife was empowered by feminists to plan and execute. Terrence went into court to fight for 50-50 custody. Terrence was called a murderer and an assassin in open court and was given 96 hours a month with his children. 96 hours a month is not a father. While homeless, he spoke to many other men who would never get off the streets due to child support arrearages and penalties, and the men constantly getting arrested for unpaid child support. The disparage of losing his children and his home, and his PTSD and constant pain from his wounds, he became suicidal. While at his post in 2008, a former commander of his came to see him to secretly say his last goodbyes. The next day, Mr. Pop's former commander put on his dress blues and went to the Holy National Veterans Cemetery and blew his brains out. Terrence Pop was notified of the death and was shocked because he was planning to commit suicide in the exact same manner. So in effect, his former commander took the bullet that was meant for him. Terrence Pop decided he would not kill himself and has spent the last 20 years saving 576 men from suicide with comedy. If you look to the left of the stage, Terrence is holding the dog tags for every live that...
I knew that name was familiar. He does those YouTube videos with the whiteboard. I haven't heard of that guy in years and years and years, but I do. I was like, Terrence Pop, I've heard that name. Yeah, okay.
He has saved. Now, why am I telling you this? Shout out to Terrence. Yeah.
Is that a bag of meat? What is that?
Now, why am I telling you this? Because men and American veterans are put in this position because of the empowerment that feminists like Anna have pushed for. There are millions of men that have died in this country from the political power that feminism pushes. Since 1970, an estimated 1.6 million men have committed suicide.
Time. Stop it.
If feminists cared about equality, why aren't they fighting for equality in divorce and family court as hard as they are fighting for abortion, working, or becoming sex workers? Thank you.
So all very good points and valid and everything. And yeah, lots of very legitimate problems raised. Again, though, here's the thing. First of all, it's a lot easier to criticize no fault divorce when you're not married. You know what I mean? It's kind of like it doesn't even like you're asking for a restriction that would not apply to you. You're asking for a restriction to be put on. I'm against no fault divorce. I'm against I'm against basically everything she brought up. But it's weakened a bit by the fact that you're not married. I just, I know it's not, the ideas shouldn't be made personal, but I'm just being honest. That's what I'm thinking when I'm hearing this. The other thing is like, even if everything she said is legitimate, and I'm against basically all of it, and some of it, it's really serious, men having their lives ruined and killing themselves and stuff like that. It's very serious. But basically, she's as Anna pointed out, Pearl just wants a slightly more moderate version of feminism, and one that wouldn't apply to her. So she wants women to not be able to get divorced, but she's not going to get married. She's still going to have the career. She wants that part. She just doesn't want to be an OnlyFans whore, which doesn't apply to her because she's not, right? So I'm not a prostitute, but I want to ban prostitution. I'm not married. I want to ban divorce. I do have a career, and I don't want to you see what I'm saying? You see the problem? You see, the problem is she wants all of the things about feminism that she likes and just not the parts that she doesn't like. So it's kind of weak in that regard, even if the things she doesn't like are quite serious and legitimate.
Okay. This is going to be a heavy one. We're going to go now to...
Right. With, women would not go to university without feminism. Like women, it's debate. Like women shouldn't get an education at all. Traditionally, women wouldn't even have gone to school. When did women start going to school? Did they basically always in America? Let me ask Grok. Hey Grok, have women always gone to school in America, and have they always gone to university, or when did they start going to university?
Women in America didn't always attend school the same way men did, especially early on. In colonial times, formal education was mostly for boys, but by the late 1700s, girls' academies and dame schools started popping up for basic literacy and needlework. Co-ed public schools for all kids really took off after the Civil War, around 1870. Universities, even later. Oberlin College opened to women in 1833, but most Ivy Leagues waited till the 20th century, like Harvard admitting women in 1977. Wild how times change, right?
Wow, 1977. That's not that long. But in general, they've been going to school for a fairly long time by American standards. But you know, this is the problem with feminism, is that it's like a huge great and the question is like, where does feminism begin, and what does undoing it entail? Because one person would say women shouldn't get a public education at all. Another person would say, well, maybe a basic education, but no university. And somebody like Pearl would say that has nothing to do with feminism at all. And feminism is just OnlyFans and no fault divorce.
The opening interrogations. We have 10 minutes. Do we have that on the clock? Yeah, it's fading in right there. Okay, and take it away. 10 minutes.
Who's interrogating who?
Whoever wants to begin.
Aside from the specific anecdote that you shared, which of course is tragic, can you cite some actual studies that look at these statistics and back up what you say in regard to the outcomes of marriage and divorce in America?
41% of 109 rape cases reported to police in a Midwestern city were admitted to be false by complainants.
In one Midwestern city? And which Midwestern city was that?
You know, you can go from your ivory.
Okay, Anna's being kind of a bitch here. I get there's like personal animosity, but I like civil debate. I don't, I thought her opening, even though it was personal, was fair. But if you're gonna act like a bitch, then you start to lose me. You start to lose me if you can't at least be somewhat gracious and civil towards your opponent. Okay, Manny. Next, the thing about proving fake rape charges is like it's very hard. It's very hard to like pin that down because it's hard to prove when rape did happen. So the whole thing is very difficult. All we know is that fake rape allegations are a thing. I think it's basically impossible to say what percentage of allegations. It doesn't really matter how many studies you do because there's some things that you just can't really, it's too hard to get to the bottom of with human beings who are liars. So, we know that happens, and the question of how to deal with that is like a big problem, I'm anti-abortion, right? And one of the big like, marginal edge things they do is they say, well, what about rape? What about a rape baby? And it's like morally, that's still murder, frankly. Like, there's that famous Charlie Kirk thing where he was like, no, I wouldn't want my daughter to abort her rape baby. And like morally, that's the correct position. Eugenically, not so much. The eugenics, from a eugenics point of view, maybe rape babies aren't really what you want. But I agree morally, the right thing to do is to give that person a chance at life. Having said that, it's like from a political expediency point of view, I would agree to like, okay, we ban abortion, but not for rape babies. Not because it's like morally correct, but just because it's like a political compromise that I would be willing to make if that was possible. But the reason you can't actually do that is because you're creating a perverse incentive for women to claim they were raped when they weren't. Because when you say like, okay, I would agree to that, you're in your mind, you're thinking about real, actual rape, like a woman's walking down the street, she gets pulled into an alley, etc.
Black guy.
Well, I'm like, what do you like? There's a lot of left off, but the short answer is no. Okay, the short answer is no. Anyway, moving on.
tower. And
I'm
tell
not in an
people
ivory
what to
tower.
think
I'm
and
on
how
this
to
debate
feel.
stage interrogating your assertions, and you've only provided an anecdote.
Right.
Because if you look at the data, which I did, of course, you'll find that women are twice as likely to fall into poverty after divorce.
Right, because they can't
Alimony
stop
is paid
spending.
out in 10% of divorces. According to the Census Bureau, the average child...
Is that real? That's quite interesting. As a red pill men's rights activist, I've never heard that before. Let me just ask Grok. It's easier than typing. Grok, is it true that in America, alimony is only paid out in 10% of divorces?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. Most sources point to alimony being awarded in only about 10 to 15% of U.S. divorces these days. Way less common than people think. It's often reserved for cases with big income gaps or long marriages.
Wow. So Anna's kind of cooking here. She's kind of cooking. That's an interesting factoid. Good to, so this still, so that wouldn't, because I'm thinking about Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, and they're like anti-marriage because we're going to get divorce raped or whatever. And I guess in their case, that's probably true. But for the average guy, that's just an excuse, basically, is what I'm getting now. What I'm getting now is that that's basically just an excuse.
Support payment is $441 a month, and only 60%
Right, but how
of
much are
those
they
payments
making?
get paid out.
How much
Women do not get child custody 90% of the time, as you have asserted before. In fact, 95% of custody cases are mutually agreed upon outside of the courtroom. Women get full custody 40% of the time. Men...
Right. 'Cause that's the thing is a lot of men do not want full custody, right? That's a lot of men are like, I have a job, I don't have time. What I can't take care of the kids full time. What are you talking? I have a job, basically, right? So they're just like, okay, you take the kids. The question is, when there's a dispute, what percentage does it go? She just said 40% of the time women get full custody, but I'm guessing that includes men not contesting it. I'd like to know what percentage goes to women specifically when it's contested.
do get full custody 20% of the time, and 40% of the time it's shared custody, which I think is the ideal situation, assuming that neither spouse is abusive.
And Pearl, excuse me, before you respond, if you could take your microphone out and hold it, it would be easier to hear you.
Okay.
Ooh, that's rough. She's too tall. They can't raise the stand any higher? I feel bad. Okay, that makes me feel genuinely bad for Pearl. Again, these things might seem little, but she just got hit with a huge handicap because she's tall. And they have a dinky little mic stand. They can't just raise that up anymore. That's not fair.
Alimony and medical care and dental are not covered by that, so a lot of times it does go above 50%. Again, you can go through the facts, the data, and the statistics and manipulate them any way that you want.
It's not
but
manipulation.
There are
Those are the
1.6 million. There are 1.6 million men in this country. Men are 9 times more likely to commit suicide after a divorce.
Compared to women, what's the number for women?
It's lower.
Really? What is it? Comparative analysis is real difficult for you, isn't it?
Okay.
Go ahead, Pearl.
What's your next question?
You have asserted that men shouldn't get married, that instead they should
I didn't
shack
say
up.
that.
You did say that with
did
Trent
not say
Horn. Word for word, you said it makes more sense for them to shack up, live with a girlfriend instead of getting married. Do you think the advice that you give to men is the type of advice that will fulfill their lives?
And this is why I have a problem with red pillars, because this is the type of shit that they say, and it's wrong.
Because I'll tell you one thing, the best part of my life is my husband. I love my husband. He's my rock, he's my foundation. And no, my husband is number one. I love my career, but you know what my career did? When I met my husband, my career was already established. He, on the other hand, was couch surfing, he was in debt, and didn't know what he wanted to do with his life. I married him anyway. You wanna know why? Because I had the economic freedom to marry for love, not for some Chad to take care of me.
How tall is he?
Oh, he's 6'1", about your height. None. I don't want kids.
Let's not do shouting questions from there, please. Allow these two to debate each other.
Okay, what's your question?
I mean, you don't really have much to.
If Anna had kids, then it would be such a mogging. She's looks mogging. She's marriage mogging. The only thing she's not doing is family mogging.
To answer. So I don't know what else to ask you. Do you think you're helping men by discouraging them from entering fulfilling
You can
marriage?
get married in the church without the state. I don't know about that. I don't know how it works in America, and it might depend state to state, but in Canada, if you live with somebody for a year, you're legally married. That's it. The paperwork has like no bearing on it whatsoever. It's called a common law marriage.
Marriages.
What happens to men if they don't pay child support?
I mean,
what happens? What happens, Anna?
How many men do you think get
What
arrested?
happens to
I don't know
men
what the
when they
number
don't
is,
get-
but the
What
idea that
happens
there's
to
like a
men when
huge
they
number
don't-
of men getting arrested for not doing what they're supposed to do
15%.
and take care of their children.
There should be a lot of black guys getting arrested for that, from my understanding.
It's not a huge issue.
I don't know. We might need the racial breakdown on that one, on deadbeat dads.
What happens to men when they don't
Really,
pay child support?
only 60% of child support payments get paid out.
You gotta allow her to interrogate you.
Let's ask Grok. I really don't see any reason during these debates to not just like constantly defer to AI. I know AI is like very fallible, but still, let's hear what it has to say. I'm not saying you should. It's the final verdict, but let's hear what it has to say. Hey Grok, how many men go to jail for not paying child support in America? She's not, it's just typing, it's not reading.
But the most commonly cited estimate is around 50,000 parents, overwhelmingly men, incarcerated on any given day in the U.S. for failing to pay child support.
A day? There's no, wait, 50,000 a day? That can't be right.
Get why 50,000 on any given day sounds huge. It's a shocking number, but that's the most widely cited estimate from studies and reports going back a bit, and it's still referenced in recent stuff like 2025 articles. There's no official national tracking since these are mostly short civil contempt stints in local jails, not long prison sentences. Some sources guess it could be higher, maybe over 100,000 when you factor in all the unreported cases, but 50,000 is the figure that sticks around. It's mostly dads and
Fuck me. Imagine if Pearl hit her with that. And how many, Pearl? Well, Anna, according to the best estimates, at least 50,000 a day. Is that enough for you? That's huge. That's so many. I thought if you said 50,000 a year, I'd be like, okay, that sounds about right. It's 50,000 a day. Now, she did clarify these are like stints where it's you're detained, you're put in like county jail for like a day or two and then you're released. It's not like they're being sentenced to years in prison. But that's so insane. If Pearl had that, like Anna would be like, there's no way that's true. And then people would have to look it up and then it'd be like, holy shit, it's true. But Pearl, despite all her prep, didn't have that, unfortunately. But you know, this is the thing. You don't know what's going to come up and you can't know everything. I didn't know that. I just learned that. I just learned that right now. That's crazy though. That's going to stick with me. I'm going to remember that one. 50,000 a day. Yeah. They're all named Jamal and Devontae. Science to Wise. Science to Wise was just arrested for not paying child support.
You got to stop yelling questions at her.
You can minimize men's problems all you want, but I don't think you understand how privileged of a position you're in.
In what way? How am I privileged?
Men are the ones that are on the hook for child support. Men are the ones that are on the hook for alimony. It's easy for you to tell men to just take the risk when you're not in that position.
So are you asserting that men shouldn't pay child support following a divorce? Do you believe that women should be financially responsible 100% after a divorce?
Feminists want it to be equal. So I say be equal. If you guys want equality, 50-50 custody, no child support, no alimony, no special privileges.
Alimony is paid out in 10% of divorces.
It doesn't matter if you're part of the 10%.
It does matter. It does matter because you make it seem like it's a widespread issue when it's only 10%.
Yeah, and I mean, it's worth noting that in some percentage of those cases, I'm sure it's low, but in some of those cases, it's women paying alimony to men. Which is just going to become more common as women continue to be bigger earners. I don't know. I get what Pearl is saying, but when you hear that it's only 10% and also like shared custody is kind of the default option. And the reason that it's maybe not more common is just because a lot of men don't want it. A lot of men are like, you take full custody, I'll take them every other weekend or whatever because I have a career. Like, that's just the reality.
Is a sexist law against men. That's sexist.
How is it sexist if a woman decided to forego a career, decided to be a stay-at-home mother?
Legally, men should have the option of shared custody, but it is sort of trending, and that is the point I'm making. Like, it's less of an issue than it used to be. Family courts are starting to come around more on that. And the reason the stats don't necessarily reflect it as much is just because, again, men don't necessarily want shared custody.
The marriage doesn't work out. She has no job. She has no income. So you think it's unfair to get support from her ex-husband so she can raise the kids?
60% of kids under 5 have daycare. Daycare is an option now. You want it to be men.
Do you know how much daycare costs?
You want it to be men. Here,
do you know how much daycare costs? Do you think it's free?
Let her answer.
A lot of things are expensive, Anna. I mean,
That's not an answer.
Women have.
Right. So, well, you're right. Child support is way more common than alimony. And again, so this is why the shared custody should be an option. And if it's shared custody, then there should be no child support. Basically, maybe some extreme cases there could be sort of exceptions for that, but hey, Grok, how many U.S. states have shared custody as the default option for divorce cases of the children? Shared custody of the children.
Not exactly a huge number. Only about 6 states have a strong legal presumption making shared or joint custody.
I mean, but okay, that's less than I thought. So it is more of an issue then. So that's something that I 100% agree with Pearl. It should be the man's choice. If the man the parent's choice, but you know what I mean? If the man wants shared custody and to not pay child support, they should just be able to say, this is what I want. And that should be the default. And for them to not have shared custody, there has to be some really like serious issue, like a substance abuse problem, violence, something serious. So I agree with Pearl, but again, Pearl can make a stronger case if she had some of these stats ready to go.
85% of consumer spending. Women spend money all the time. You spend money on hair dye, you spend money on Botox, you spend money.
You should think about it. I sure am.
You spend money all of the time. Yep. So you want it to be men, here it is. You're equal. Pay for daycare.
Equality means that when you have a child or children, you're both responsible. So the idea that the woman should take 100% of the costs on herself without any help from her husband or ex-husband is ridiculous. How is that fair?
Well, how is it fair that he doesn't get 50-50 custody?
Well, first of
Yeah,
all,
and I have to add that I don't think abolishing child support makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not diametrically opposed to child support. I think there could be reasonable caps, which we don't have. Like, rich people get fucked in a crazy way, and I'm against that. I'm not rich, but I see it happening to other rich people, and I'm like, that guy's paying way too much child, Kanye West and people like that. I think there should be caps.
I'm beginning to understand why Pearl considered crashing out. Anna is pretty insufferable in this debate.
She's kind of a bitch. She's got a real attitude. Anyway, I don't like the idea of like, well, I'm just going to dump a load in you and say goodbye. Now you deal with the kid. I think men should be on the hook in some way for the lives they create. I just think that like the idea that even a rich guy, even a stinking rich guy like Elon Musk should be compelled to pay more than like $5,000 a month in child support. Okay, kids don't cost $5,000 a month, so you don't need $300,000 a month in child support. You know what I mean? That's insane. But I don't think child support should just be completely abolished. That is also kind of insane to me.
Why are you asserting that they don't?
It's 50% his DNA. Why can't he have 50% custody? Where
there
has
was a study.
I've been
Let me answer your question, even though I should be
I've-
interrogating you. I'll answer your question. Massive study out of Massachusetts that looked at 24,000 divorces. In those 25 divorces, they found that in only 8% of cases did men ask for custody. 8%.
Yeah, see, this is the point. This is the point I was making. Although she said custody, so I'm going to assume she means full custody. And if a man is asking for full custody, either the woman is a total monster or the man is spiteful, which is a thing that happens in divorces on both sides. People get spiteful and they're like, how can I fuck the other person? How can I hurt the other person in the divorce? You know what I mean? But I need a full breakdown of shared custody versus full custody versus you just take the kids, to really have an opinion on that.
Because the average American can't afford divorce fees, Anna.
But women
It
can
costs
afford to raise the
$25,000 to
children
get a
by themselves
divorce.
without support from the ex-husband. How does that make sense?
What did you say? I didn't hear you. We were both talking.
You're complaining about the costs while simultaneously arguing that a woman should not get child support in order to raise the children that the former couple had together.
Are you guys equal or not? You want to
Yes,
be equal.
equality means that
All
you're
right,
both responsible
50
for raising the children, and that includes the
so
costs
you should
of
have
raising the
equality,
children.
but not at the expense of men. 50-50 custody, 50-50, no child support, no alimony. That's equality. You don't want
Alimony
equality.
makes sense if
You
the
want-
See, Pearl has a very, as we saw with the 6-state factoid, that should be all states. So Pearl has a very valid point here, but she's not doing the best job of making it. If she could say, look, this is only available in 6 states, this option for men to just have shared custody without having to prove that the other woman is like, or like whatever. You shouldn't have to prove anything for shared custody. That's the point. That should just be the default assumption. And she could really strengthen her argument if she said it's just not available in the vast majority of places.
Mother and doesn't have a source of income, how else would she take care of the kids following a divorce?
By getting a job just like the men.
So you're saying that a woman who doesn't have recent job history is just going to willy-nilly enter the job force or workforce, I should say, and easily get hired?
It's also getting a job is like not that, like that is feminism. Again, isn't this weird thing about how feminism means different things to different people? If your position is that women should be barefoot in the kitchen and not working and not going to school, then you should stand on that and just be like, you shouldn't even be arguing about how divorce should work, because your whole argument should be that divorce shouldn't exist. Basically, like, not that it should. that divorce, that you should get rid of, you should just be like, I don't care, none of that matters, because no fault divorce shouldn't be a thing, and divorce should be incredibly rare, right? That should you should kind of stand on that hill if that's your hill, because when you start to say, wow, women need to get a job, you sound like a feminist, kind of.
Do you guys care about this? So do you care about the children or not? Because you're making this about like the poor husband, the poor ex-husband who doesn't want to pay the child support, doesn't want, to take on any of the responsibilities of having children in the first place. Why is it that you seem to have a problem with men carrying out their responsibilities? But when it comes to
men are dying to care about their responsibilities. Men are fighting to be a part of their kids' lives.
What's the empirical data on that?
I don't need data. How many people in here have had a family or a friend fight for their kid and not be able to get it? The reason that this happens, Anna, is because lawyers tell them not to fight because it's so expensive and they won't win.
What is that based on?
Based on me.
You have to provide, look, Pearl, I am open to be convinced, but I need more than anecdotes. I need more than vibes and feelings. Because we're talking about
I disagree with that. I kind of hate that, to be like, where's your peer-reviewed study? You know what? We all know it's happening. And it's like the rape thing. Oh, there's false rape allegations. Where's the study? Where's the data? Like, no, actually, we all know this is a thing. Yeah, maybe we can't pin it down to a percentage point, but that's not really the point. If it's a sort of ubiquitous thing, as Pearl says, and this is more ubiquitous than false rape allegations. Like, you might not know somebody who was like falsely accused of rape in a like a it went to court kind of way, but you probably know a guy who's been dragged over the coals by family courts. I went through it myself, wouldn't recommend it. So it is, again, maybe you don't know anybody like that, but it's, as somebody who went through it personally and has direct intimate knowledge, the whole like show me the study thing is just eye roll inducing. Okay, Orthodox. Well, it might be. Sometimes they have issues. Thank you for the two.
Something serious here. We're talking about raising
Nothing
children. We're talking about the
it.
shared responsibility of raising children. That, of course, includes the cost.
90% of disputed custody goes to women. That's not equal.
90%. That's a totally made up statistic. Where are you citing that from?
All right, let's take a break there because our time actually ran up. Those opening interrogations are over.
Yeah, in all fairness to Anna, you can't just make up statistics, but from my perspective, you can be like, fuck your stats. We all know this. Like, that to me is a valid argument if it's true. In the Molly Meme Collins debate, the spanking debate, when Malcolm Collins was like, I wouldn't wipe my ass with these academic papers. I was just like, fuck yeah, that's so real. So you can take that position, but if you're going to take that position. Don't make up fake stats.
Let's take a moment here. I'm going to grab a sip of water. All right. The next step is going to be 30 minutes. We're going to open it up. Again, open debate. I'd remind you guys, I know everyone's passionate about this. I get that. But we can't have multiple people debating at the same time, right? We got one debater here. We got one debater here. Let's keep it here. All right? Let's put 30 minutes on the clock. And let's begin the open debate. Pearl, I'll let you pick up here. Go ahead.
What happens to men when they don't pay child support?
There are consequences for it, especially when there's a court order for them to carry out their responsibility and pay child support so that child can be raised.
And what happens?
Do you think there shouldn't be legal responsibilities or legal consequences if they fail to carry out a court order to, take care of their kids?
I've interviewed men that have paid millions of dollars in child support.
Don't care about your interviews. Anecdotal evidence doesn't matter. What I need is...
Dude, the 50,000 a day stat is such a haymaker here, and Anna's being such a bitch, and I really wish, but girls with a time machine, guys with a time. If I had a time machine, I would, forget going back and telling Hitler not to invade Russia. What's the meme? Whatever that meme is, where you try to help Hitler. I'm gonna go back a week ago and tell Pearl 50,000 a day. You gotta hit her with this one and wipe that smug look off her face.
Actual statistic, empirical evidence. They should pay their child support. $441 is the average child support payment. $441 a month.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot. What's that other stat? The average American doesn't have $500 in their bank account or whatever. Okay, if the average American has like only $500 in their bank account, then guess what? $440 a month is a lot of money for the average American. What are we're going to pretend like that's like no big deal? This is another opening right here. She's acting like an elitist rich bitch, shitting with like totally disconnected from the struggle of the average person. Is Pearl going to capitalize on that?
Yeah, that's for someone that makes $24,000 a year.
You just told me a woman can just go to work and take care of the kids totally by herself.
Big miss. Pearl basically tried to do what about the rich people though? They pay more. It's like, no, $400 is a lot of money. You're going to hammer her on that. Pearl is already defeated. Pearl is already like, I don't want to be here. I've made a horrible mistake. And she's already checked out mentally. So she just missed a chance there to get a hit in.
How does a guy live when he's paying $500 a month and $24,000 a year?
You think $500 a month is too much in child support? Do you know how much it costs to raise a child? Do you know how much childcare costs, for instance? I mean, that mother has to go to work, right? Where's the kid going to stay while that mother is working? How is she going to pay for the
What happens to men when they don't pay child support?
Sorry, say that again?
What happens to men when they don't pay child support?
There are legal repercussions for not carrying out a court mandate to do something.
Do you think that fraud should be illegal?
Absolutely.
Okay. So why is it not illegal for women to fraud men on paternity? If a man does not find out he's the father over the age of 2, he is on the hook for child.
This is a totally valid point. Will Anna bite the bullet and give a concession on this, which clearly men should not be on the hook for kids that aren't theirs. And if a woman lies to a man, there should be repercussions for that. There should be repercussions for paternity fraud. It's a serious, serious crime. And will Anna agree with that obvious statement? Let's see.
Child support for 18 years.
I don't know what the law is when it comes to that, but it's wrong. If you're lying about paternity, that is wrong, and there should be legal consequences for that.
Why haven't feminists fought?
It's that simple.
Nice.
Then why?
Based, reasonable Anna. Not gonna fall for that one.
Why aren't feminists fighting for it, Anna?
Because feminists fight for women, obviously.
Right. That's my point.
Yeah.
At the expense of men. You guys want to believe women at the expense of men. Why isn't Amber Heard in jail? Because of the Me Too movement. You guys push believing all rape victims, and now we have rape.
Amber Heard had to pay out a massive settlement.
Yeah, but why isn't she in jail?
You want her in jail?
Yes.
Well,
she ruined
the
his
penalties
life.
for defamation are what the court's decision is, right? You want people to go to prison for defamation?
He had to go to 2 different countries to clear his name. Why isn't she in jail? He lost millions of dollars.
Yeah, again, Anna's making a valid point here, which is basically that nobody goes to jail for defamation. It's just not a thing.
Pearl did bring it up only marrying 2 GS a month. Anna immediately brushed it off.
Only marrying 2 G. Yeah, she did try to make the point about how for somebody making 24K, 400 is, but like, first of all, I don't want to get into the weeds, but if the 24K is like almost like bare minimum that people are, you know what I mean? You're basically not even trying if you're making less than 24K and, or you have some other issue. And so if the average is 440, then that's not what people who are making the bare minimum are paying. It's actually roughly what I pay. Maybe I pay a little bit more than that, but I'm making more than 24K. But yeah, she did try to make, but you gotta, look, man, you can't, if it's going to be like this, if it's going to be, we're not here in good faith and I'm here to destroy you, then you got to destroy the other person. You can't let them brush stuff like that off. Again, much easier said than done. This is like, I look back at my no jumper thing and I'm like, man, I was way too charitable. It happens, you live and learn.
To be clear, you think the penalty for defamation is prison time.
I think the penalty for a false accusation is that the woman should get the same time that he would have gotten if he was found guilty.
Men don't go to prison for defamation.
And see, this is the problem with feminism.
Well, okay, hang on. So this is this argument where if you accuse a guy of a crime that would put them in jail and you're lying, you should go to jail. And I do think maybe that's not the worst idea. The problem is it's so hard with this he said, she said stuff. But it's the difference between defamation and like you're charged with a crime, right? Johnny Depp was, to my knowledge, was never charged with a crime, was he? He was like canceled, but he was never like, we're sending you to jail for domestic abuse or whatever. So it's kind of a moot point. If it never went to the stage where he was on trial, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not divorced. I was never married. I have a child, but we weren't married.
You want all these freedoms, but you want to actually be equal.
I do want equality.
No, if you wanted to be equal, you would fight for 50-50 child support, no alimony.
No alimony. So again, if a woman decided to forego working, decided to stay home to raise the children, and the marriage doesn't work out, she's got no income whatsoever, she doesn't deserve any alimony.
Women aren't even doing that. Number one, that's not even women are not staying home with the kids. And number two, you have daycare.
A lot of women do these days, actually.
You have daycare.
The traditional women who want to stay home, they want to be traditional wives, and you trash them all the time, which I don't understand.
If
it seems like women can't do anything right when it comes to you, right? They're stay-at-home moms, they're traditional,
I understand that you can personally attack me.
I'm not personally attacking you. Okay. These are things that you have said on the record multiple times.
No, she is. So what is it? What is the thing that Pearl likes to say? She says trad. She has some derogatory term for trads. Anyway, I've heard her say that because I covered it in my video when Pearl was defending abortion, and she's like, "Oh, these fake trad LARPers or whatever. They pretend like they wouldn't get an abortion." Yeah, so some people actually are sort of traditional in the basic sense of the term, which is the man works, the woman is a homemaker, they go to church on Sundays, and they have sort of a biblical morality. That to me is trad. When people say trad, like that's all that entails. And people like to add all this extra shit in, like you need to be out in the fields with your wheat scythe, or you're not trad. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't, or like if you're a woman and you have an Instagram account, you're not trad. I would prefer women to not have right privileges on the internet, but I don't think that to me is like whatever. You can have an Instagram account and still call yourself trad, personally. Thank you for the big dono, Pothead Wino. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Cared about equality, you would care about false accusations.
I do care about false accusations.
No, you don't.
You don't know me? You don't know what I care about?
Look, all right. Let's talk about rights that men do not have. Men do not have the right to be enlisted in selective service. We have 125K men who were drafted and buried overseas. Think about that over a second. You talk about the oppressions of the past, but how many men died in World War I and World War II and had no choice? And yet Anna complains about oppression. Men do not have the right to face their accuser in court when they have a false allegation and for personal protection orders that strip.
So again, this is one of these weird places you get into with men's rights activism where you're like, well, it's not fair that men you get obsessed with equality and fairness, and it's like you've already lost because you're already operating in this framework that everyone's equal. If you have the notion that women should be in combat roles, like not only are you a feminist, but you're like a batshit crazy version, extreme. That's like extreme feminism. Women should be in the Marines. No, the fuck they shouldn't. No, they shouldn't. Imagine the horror of Anna being, yeah, I get it. I get what you mean by that. And I think you're right. It would be bad. It would be a rough one to deal with. So if you're going to make the argument about draft, about like people, like people like Pearl who don't think that hardly, to be blunt, they make these arguments because they're just like, oh, it's not fair. And that's the whole argument. It's not fair. But you have to consider, what is your actual position on that? What do you even mean? You want women in the Marines, or you just don't want an army when we get invaded? Like, what are you trying to, what is your end game with that argument?
Constitutional rights away from the man. Women go before a judge and say they don't feel safe, and more than likely a PP order will be issued. The man was not in court, had no say, has no defense, and does not get to face his accuser. That is done en masse, and many servicemen and first responders lose their careers over this because it strips a man's Second Amendment rights away based on no evidence. Men do not have the right to raise their children. Divorce is no fault, but when it comes...
Now, if you want to make a point, a good place to take that argument is only men are eligible for combat roles, and therefore only men should vote. Okay, now you're cooking. now you have my attention. Yes, you're right. Because men are the ones who need to physically defend the country in the case of an existential threat, men therefore should be the only ones who decide how the country is going to be structured and organized and ran. Absolutely. So it's not like the problem is this isn't fair. It's like, well, women have the right to not get drafted and go to war, so they should not have the right to vote. Something along, you know what I mean? That's like a good place to take that. A very bad place to take it is like, women should have to get drafted too, because then it would be fair. Well, that may be the point, but she didn't actually say it. She just kind of said, this isn't fair. And then that leaves it open to interpretation. And a very logical interpretation for a lot of people is women should have to get drafted.
Comes to child custody, it's always the man's fault. He loses his children to the system. 96 hours a month the father does not make. Men have longer prison sentences. Women get a third of the time for the same crime. Where are the feminists fighting for equality on that issue? There has been rampant discrimination against better qualified men in hiring across multiple industries. Men pay more child support, and child support orders are not enforced at the same rates between men and women. Women are more likely not to pay and are prosecuted for non-payment at lower rates. Men cannot opt out of parenthood. Men have very few domestic violence shelters and are not taken seriously when they're domestic violence victims.
I agree on that.
White men in particular are discriminated against when it comes to hiring and educational attainment.
True.
In all fairness, and people hate to hear this, and back when I was an MRA, way back in the day when I actually identified as an MRA, I made that argument, men can't opt out of parenthood, and somebody said something to me that upset me, and I scoffed at it, and over years and years I thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute, she has a point. You know how men opt out of parenthood? Don't bust inside a woman. That's how you opt out. Guys get really mad if you say that. But if you are a man and you don't want to have kids, then my suggestion is do not bust inside a woman. If you approach that objectively, it's very hard to argue with. It took me years. I was like, you know what? That bitch, she was right. She was right. You could just not finish inside if you don't want to have kids. Damn, she got me.
Youth model is a model that law enforcement, courts, and counselors use automatically that assumes men are the aggressor. The tender years doctrine is a guideline in divorce used to justify removing the father from the child's life. The only institutional sexism that exists is institutional sexism that discriminates against men in favor of women. Furthermore, U.S. courts do not require receipts to show how that money...
But again, Lord Gannon, this is what I'm saying. You do have the right. You have the right to not bust inside a woman. That is your right as a man. Know your rights.
Spent by the custodial parent, unless there's
The thing is it's so incredibly evil. Let's be real. Like, take a step back. I know people, when they're having sex, you get caught up in the moment and you accidentally bust and you didn't mean to. Whoops. Just did that thing I wasn't going to do. I know. And now it's like, now what do you do? Well, here's the thing. To be like, well, you should just kill the baby, or you should just be like, let the baby starve because it's not your problem. Think about how callous and irresponsible that is. Okay, look, we all hate women here, right? We all hate women, yes. If you want, I'm joking a little bit, but you know what I mean? If you want to hate women like a pro, it has to be because they are the irresponsible ones, and they are the callous ones, and they are the ones without it. So as a man, you have to be better. Your goal as a man should not be, I want to be just as callous and irresponsible as a woman and just kill my kids instead of taking care of them. Can we do a little bit better than that? As a man, can we be a little bit better than that?
Overwhelming evidence of starvation, malnutrition, or severe child abuse. There are numerous reports of custodial
You want the
parents
government to
spending the
check
money
receipts
on
and see,
luxury.
like...
Let's let her respond to some of that.
Hold on, let's understand something. You want government to be so big that you literally have the government looking at receipts to see what a mother is spending the money on? That's insane.
I want no child support, no alimony, 50-50.
Yeah, because you're crazy and you don't live in reality.
I want equality. I'm more of a feminist than you, Anna. Because I say if you want to vote, be in selective service. Be on the front lines just like the men are.
Who do you think
See, again, so she's saying, yeah, go. Well, she said if you want to vote, so I get like, that's cool. But also the problem is having women in military service is like a net negative in combat roles. That's a net negative. Like that just makes your army worse, which is why this obsession with equality is like it's no good, which is why, again, people don't like when I say this, but the Christian understanding of the world just seems to be the best one, where you actually acknowledge that men and women are different, and men should have certain roles and women should have certain roles. One of women's roles should not be voting. I'm anti-democracy in general. I can't believe I turned into a monarchist, basically, or a dictator, anything other than letting women vote. But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's so, anyway, she's right. But the problem is like, it shouldn't be an option given to women. Like, oh, you want to vote? Well, then you got to join the draft. It's like, no, you don't get to vote. You don't get to fight. You're a woman, you know. I don't think Pearl would super argue with what I'm saying, but it's just the way you come across when you articulate these things, just for clarity's sake.
Birth to and raises those soldiers.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because you assert that women shouldn't be allowed to vote because they're not all in mandatory military service.
I say be equal. You want to vote?
Can we just have Pearl tag Gavin in? Yeah, you know, I don't know. I wasn't going to say this. I don't know if I should say this, but there may be a Gavin appearance on the show tomorrow. If you missed yesterday's show, I'm going to get the thumbnail and all that up on YouTube later today, but we're having the progress report tomorrow with Jared Taylor and Arvel. And don't hold me to this because I don't actually know, but maybe a Gavin appearance, which was kind of the result of a clusterfuck. But we'll see what happens. So good news if you're a Gavin fan, bad news if you're a hater. We'll see what happens. Maybe nothing at all.
Do what the men do. Men are fined.
Should women be included in combat? Should women be included in combat?
Yes.
Okay.
Do what the men do.
Fair.
Do what the men do.
Yeah, fair. Agreed. Next.
By the way, speaking of Gavin, that reminded me too, there was this on the Grace Thorpe page tweet. Hold on, where is it? This one? There was like I watched like a minute of this morning, and there was a funny Gavin appearance.
I mean, I talked to Gavin McGinnis. Hey.
You're about to again.
Oh, there he is. Guess what happened when I went to the bathroom?
He came up to
First of all, that pissed me off. Gavin walks up and he goes, guess what happened when I went to the bathroom? And then it cuts. I know it's because this is like a 36-minute video and they're teasing you. But I'm like, what happened when Gavin went to the bathroom?
us, and he said, "I'll give you a bump of coke if you show me your ass in those tights."
And was that Gavin who said that? I'll give you a bump of coke. I could see him, but he's married. Better not be you, Anyway, that video kind of looks funny, actually. Grace Thorpe maybe is good at making content. I don't know. Based off the first minute, I was kind of hooked. I was like, man, maybe I want to watch this 36-minute video sometime. Yeah. Anyway, that just made me think of that. Yeah, it's weird because, like, yeah, Gavin is one of the judges. There's like judges. I'd like to hear from them. I'd like to hear them interject a little bit or something. And maybe that's coming later. Seems like kind of a waste to have a guy like Gavin and not have a little more commentary.
Next? Nothing? Okay. I want to know what your ideal woman is, because if you are a traditional conservative woman who's married, staying at home, raising kids, you trash them.
There's no such thing as a traditional woman. They cannot be traditional in 2025 because women will always have the leverage.
What does that mean? What does it mean that women will always have the leverage?
Women have child support to fall back on. Women have alimony. So automatically,
10% of divorces end with alimony settlements.
And
10%.
And they go.
You just ignore the stats.
They
You
go
just move
from
on.
men to women. They go from men to women. Billions of dollars every year.
I thought you said earlier that women are paying alimony.
Billions of dollars of wealth every year is transferred from men to women.
Mm-hmm. Based on what? Where are you getting that information from? You're just making it up?
Look, we have it. We're excited. We can get it to you at the end.
Well, that one is obviously true just because of literally just Jeff Bezos paid billions of dollars. So I literally one anecdote is billions of dollars. And most rich women, all of like the richest women in the world, it's either alimony or like their husband died, whatever you call that. What do you call that? An inherit? What do you call that? They were widowed. What's the word for inheriting all your husband's money? It was bequeathed. Is that the word? And you know what I'm talking about. Is Power Chat? Somebody else said it was down. Let me see if I can refresh. Yeah, it seems to be down. Power Chat. That's why we're not making any money. Well, that's the show for today. No, I'm just joking. But Power Chat is down, unfortunately. Many such cases.
You didn't want to submit. Where are your sources? You didn't want to submit them ahead of time. You did.
The Census Bureau, Bureau of Labor Statistics. I cited everything I mentioned. Pull it up. Pearl.
I'm getting kind of bored.
The main thing I want people to understand, okay? Pearl's going to trash women no matter what. That's fine.
I'm not trashing.
But my biggest gripe with you is you're discouraging people from entering marriages.
I don't tell men what to do.
I'm just going to skip these 20 minutes, the last 20 minutes here before the judges get involved, because it's just I think we get the idea. Look, and let me give you my thoughts before we hear from the judges here. I don't think Pearl did that bad. Whatever that little freeze clip we saw, that was clearly towards the end, and she clearly, she did kind of check out. She did not do good. She didn't do good, but it wasn't like a slaughter. I just think she needs to, and this is the same thing people said about me in the No Jumper. You need to bring stats. People really want you to have stats and citations. I think that's kind of gay and unfortunate, but it's the reality. And even me as an audience, I'm like, wow, Pearl really could have got her with the 50,000 a day stat.
For coming out, but if you're going to hold this position, you should be able to support it. And if you think that Pearl won that debate, you're probably retarded. That was a bloodbath. That was rough.
Well, when you kind of get into it and you watch it,
whoa, people who speak quick. That's such a change. Let's slow it down here.
This is Anna's world, and we've seen her on Piers Morgan and stuff like that. And so Pearl stepping up into this, God bless her. Thank her for doing it. I do think Pearl had some wonderful moments there. I think she's been running a lot of defense, got in some nice shots, and she got bigger reactions from the crowd, I thought, than the other way around. What'd you think, Gavin?
Well, I guess I'm retarded because I thought Pearl did great. I think that...
You think she won?
Well, you know what I noticed going on over there?
Ugh.
Anna doesn't have kids. Pearl has a kid. And Anna was doing this masculine thing where she was being really...
aggressive,
vociferous and attacking Pearl. And Pearl had this sort of
she's being very... I've already said bitchy, but that's really the only word for it. But But Pearl doesn't have a kid. So this whole thing is being built off of a false premise.
Why are we infantilizing Pearl?
I don't know who either of these people are, so don't ask me.
2 million subscribers.
No,
on
when
YouTube.
when a woman has a kid,
we are absolutely infantilizing. We're being like,
no, I'm saying women who have given birth, women who have given birth are better than women who haven't given
Pearl
birth.
have a child?
Sorry,
Does
you're
Pearl
more
have a
of a valid woman if you have a kid.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on in here.
I had a miscarriage, so am I less valid or more valid as a woman? As a
Well,
result?
what happened to you was obviously horrific.
Sure, but am I more valid or less valid as a woman?
Well, you're kind of less valid.
Less valid?
I still love you. Okay.
That's why.
And that's why we love Gavin. Oh, you thought that emotional manipulation, I was going to feel sorry for you and be like, no, you're still valid. He's just like, yes, hey, bad luck, but less valid.
That's why you cry.
Oh, is that Eurydice? Is that who that is? Okay, I do know who that is. I just didn't know her well enough to recognize her.
Cried when you had a miscarriage because
I didn't cry.
Of course you cried.
You didn't cry? That's weird. I mean, hey, people grieve in different ways, but that's kind of weird.
I
You didn't
cried
cry
when
at
you
all.
told me.
You just were Terminator and moved
You're
on.
like, yeah, but that's just another day of the job.
Another day.
I was like,
This fucking shitting out miscarriages. That's my day.
You weren't
No.
sad.
It's obviously horrific when a woman can't have a baby.
Very mixed
But
feelings.
when a woman, like Pearl has this sort of like calmness around her where she goes,
I don't know if I'd
oh,
call
really? We're
that
doing this? Okay. All right. That's
was
it.
calm about- she was-
Anna,
she was
Anna
sitting there
is aping
stunlocked.
male characteristics. She's getting super aggressive and attacking like a weird little pit bull that's mimicking male behavior.
But it's also kind of ridiculous to say that we live in a culture where women don't get treated better than men. Let's be honest here. I have this theory. Men make the rules of business, women make the rules of society, okay? And that's why there's things that women can ask men anything they want in dating, right?
He's making like a good point. Like this is like a really basic point that I didn't hear Pearl make. Maybe she made it in the end that we didn't listen to, but just like the basic, like, hey, Anna, do you think men or women are treated better? And you can back that up with like sentiment. You can look at surveys of who's viewed better. You can look at AI, how AI views men versus like they did. We had the clip in YCSP and I'm going to run it by Jared Taylor. And, but they were like, they basically calculated like the value that AI puts on the lives of various identities. And like, you'll be shocked to know that like what the lives of white men are very low for every AI except for, anyway, we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but like, and AI is not maybe the most compelling argument, but for me, because I understand how it works somewhat, it is compelling because it's just a reflection of the internet, basically. Like it is manipulated internally as well, but the like Grok is probably the most manipulated one to not have that bias because that bias exists on the internet, which is what AI is trying. Anyway, you guys all get what I'm saying. I don't want to belabor the point, but it's a reflection and men are viewed lesser, long story short. And that's kind of just a good meta point that goes beyond all this talk about what are the rights and the statistics and the percentages. It's just like, well, why culturally men are shat on and women are praised just as a general rule. That kind of sucks. That's kind of not fair.
How much money you make, what kind of car do you drive, how tall are you? There are things you are absolutely not allowed to ask.
Uncle Groiper sent $5. I remember visiting my friend's wife also is also my friend. She is a literal sociologist asterisk. She had a miscarriage at 8 months. She opened the doors and we both broke down crying and hugged.
Yeah, man, it's rough. I know Allison miscarried our first child. I don't talk about that a lot because it's a downer, But I was at work in the office. This was way back before work from home had kicked in with COVID. And she texted me, and I just went to my supervisor. I was like, I'm going home right now. And my supervisor was like, okay. And yeah, that was a rough day.
Women.
Sure.
What's your weight? How old are you? What's your body count? Which are all things guys want. So this notion that it's like even Steven is absolutely ridiculous.
I don't think
the
anyone
notion that the courts treat men and women equally is also ridiculous, dude.
I don't think.
How many times have we seen like a man and a woman commit a crime? And
So I agree that this is like, we all know that's, but you can quantify these things. And this is kind of the big takeaway. If you're going to do debates and you want to do well, you got to come in there with some statistics and some citation. I said it already, but you can't. This stuff is available. You just have to get it ready and bring it with you.
guy gets 30 years and the chick gets like 2 weeks in prison. It happens all
Dude, Lorena
the time.
Bobbitt
but the
cut
issue is
off.
Anna and I wouldn't disagree with any of that, right? Like, I think Anna and myself would both agree that's wrong when that happens. Women get infantilized as a result of sexism all the time, which is what you guys are trying to do to Pearl right now. The reality is that if you watch that,
I'm putting her on a
that was
pedestal.
painful. Everyone knows that was painful. And the reality is, it sucks for Pearl. You know, it's tough coming out here and trying to be a debater.
Well, she's taking on, let's face it, one of the Michael Jordans of debating. This is Anna's world.
I totally disagree.
Don't take the debate and don't profit off of this.
So I agree that Pearl lost the debate, but the way Gavin is just sticking up for, I actually love it. I love that he's there to do that. It at least gives some balance to the judge panel. And also, like, I don't like her. I don't even know that much about her, but her, like, I want now I want her to lose. So I'm like Team Gavin. Like, yeah, you know what? Pearl did kick ass. Fuck Anna.
Worldview can't even begin to defend.
Anna was a rabid pit bull mimicking male behavior. Pearl was this serene mother.
No,
who
she
was
was
like,
not.
oh, is this what we're doing?
It was like a small
Okay,
girl.
I'm telling you the facts.
Although she's not a mom, unfortunately. This whole argument seems to hinge on that.
Not telling me the facts, because you and I both
No, that was
know,
me being Pearl.
You and I both know that was painful,
and the notion-
uncomfortably painful.
and
Okay.
the notion-
moderator had
you
to
gotta
step
have
in.
a baby. You
Listen,
gotta have a
listen.
baby soon. You
the
better have a
notion
baby.
that women are committing unaliving themselves anywhere close to the number that men are, and the reason that Anna was like, the
didn't say
reason
that.
they didn't do it because they're not as violent about. Not true at all.
Wait,
not true. Men off themselves at a much higher rate.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the notion of give me statistics like Pearl is.
Yeah, that was a weak gotcha. Pearl was like, this many men kill themselves after, and Anna was like, how many women do it? And it's like, really, we're gonna pretend like it's gonna be comparable? Because we know in general men kill themselves way more.
Like ChatGPT is hilarious to me.
Here's what I would say to Pearl. If you're going to have somebody else write your notes, tell them where they cited things from so you can at least not look like a dumbass when you're asked where it's from.
Wow, now you're getting aggressive.
Yeah, so it's one of these things, again, when Pearl was like, everybody knows men get raped in family court. For me, I'm like, yes, correct. And I think most people, if they're just like, yeah, but there's just this kind of shit-lib mind rape person who's like, I'm sorry, but do you have a peer-reviewed study on men getting raped? How do you know that that's real? The fact that we all know people like that doesn't matter. I need it. I need a source. What's the source? You have a study. Okay, who did this? Sample size is 219. Yeah, your source is trash. I hate that so much.
You look like
it's one thing if it's a contentious kind of claim, but we do all know the family court thing.
You sound like a
You're
dude.
so aggressive right now.
Stop it. You're not a dude. Stop being a dude.
Stop it.
Stop saying infantilizing. No one's
You are. You're
infantilizing.
saying poor
I'm putting Pearl on a pedestal.
No,
Pearl.
not one time.
And
It's not her fault. She didn't know where her stats were from.
No, we're not talking about that.
Who knows what college survey this came
Probably
from?
if it's
not
your notes,
realistic.
you should. Probably if you put it in your notes, yeah, you should probably know where you're citing your stats from. Yeah.
You should know all. I mean,
it's one of these things. Like it pisses me off listening to her say that. But if you're gonna, she's not wrong, because you need to like appeal to people like that, because that's a big chunk of the audience, and there's no reason not to win them over with stats. There's like no reason not to. So I hate it, but she's not wrong.
That's the one.
This is classic Marxism, by the way. Classic Marxism, which is don't believe your eyes, your ears, or the wisdom of your experiences. So Anna's
It's also
painting
why
a
debate is like stupid.
picture
and gay.
that it's like, woe is me. Like how many more women's homeless shelters are than there are men? There's like, no, it's not even close.
Yeah,
Come
women
on.
get more funding in general because women are viewed as the
100%.
compassionate group. Yeah, but I don't even think Anna would disagree with this. So, like, if you want to engage with what Anna and I believe, engage.
Got caught pulling up stats. I mean, like, you know, so this is the thing. As a what's the word? Dialectic. As a dialectician, I care about the truth and only the truth. So I don't care if you're Googling something in the debate. I understand why the whole, see, this is again, I just said I hate debate. This is why, because for people, debate is like this thing of like, who's the smartest? And I don't care who's the smartest. I don't care who's the best at memorizing facts. I don't care who's the sharpest with their comebacks and their pivots and so forth. I only care about the truth. So she pulled up ChatGPT in a debate. I don't care. But most people don't look at it like me.
To what we believe.
What have we gotten wrong in what you believe?
Okay, so for example, Anna didn't even begin to try to pretend that the suicide rates between men and women are equal.
She
said,
100% said that.
What she specifically said is that men do die by suicide more often. But part of the reason why is because women use less lethal methods, which is true.
That is such...
This is boring. Yeah, I'm just gonna end it. I have like a lot to do today to get ready for tomorrow because I'm trying to get like a new intro, and that's a big job. So I'm just gonna end it there. That's 2 hours. That's 2 hours and 15 minutes, just about, in fact. So that's the show, and Power Chat's down basically. So that's the show. What do you guys think of the debate? Who won? Who won? Who's next? I think, you know, if I was a judge, I would have to give it to Anna, but Pearl, you know, she just needs to work on some of the, I think Pearl could come back and do a better job. You live and you learn, you know. Pearl had some good points. She had some good valid points for sure. Yeah. Don't forget the progress report tomorrow. 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 Eastern. Jared Taylor and Arvil. Should be a fun show. Hope to see you there. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. I will catch you on the flip side. Peace out.